For thousands of years, Westeros belonged to the First Men. They ruled its forests, rivers, and kingdoms. That was until the Andals came. And when they arrived, they didn't just conquer Westeros, they reshaped it forever. Some ask why the Andals invaded. Well, the Andals invaded for three major reasons: religion, overpopulation, and conquest. The Andals came from, yep, you guessed it, Andalos in western Essos. Over time, their population exploded. Land became scarce, noble houses fought constantly over dwindling resources, and Westeros across the narrow sea looked like a promised land. Vast, fertile, and divided into hundreds of rival petty kingdoms. But survival alone wasn't enough. The Andals were devout followers of the Faith of the Seven. Westeros still worshipped the old gods of the forest, and to the Andals, the old gods were false. The First Men were heretics, and converting Westeros was not just war, it was a holy mission. They carved seven-pointed stars into their flesh, burned weirwood groves, and forced entire kingdoms to kneel in the name of the Seven. The Andals, of course, didn't all invade at once. The earliest and most successful landings were in the Vale of Arryn. They crossed the narrow sea and landed along the Fingers, the eastern Vale coastline, and later near what would become Gulltown. The Vale was divided, filled with rival First Men kings, and of course the Andals exploited those rivalries. They conquered the region piece by piece. Over time, House Arryn rose as the greatest Andal dynasty in Westeros, ruling the Vale for thousands of years. From the Vale, the Andals spread outward, into the Riverlands, then the Westerlands, then the Reach, and eventually into the Crownlands. Some houses were destroyed, some converted, some adapted. The Lannisters survived by embracing Andal culture. The Tullys rose under Andal dominance. Knighthood, heraldry, and feudal law spread across nearly all of southern Westeros. And now it's about time we move to the Andals' secret weapon. Point blank, their secret weapon was iron. The First Men still fought mostly using bronze weapons, and the Andals, they brought iron and they brought a lot of it. Iron swords shattered bronze shields, iron armor turned aside older bronze weapons, and combine that with the organized heavy infantry and mounted knights that the Andals used, they completely changed the game when it came to warfare in Westeros. This technological edge alone allowed them to defeat armies that had ruled for thousands of years. This is the fact versus legend side for this, the Hammer of the Waters. Legend says that the Children of the Forest actually tried to step in and stop the invaders with the Hammer of the Waters, shattering the land bridge between Essos and Westeros, creating the Stepstones. That event likely happened earlier during the war between the Children of the Forest and the First Men, long before the Andals arrived. However, legend claims the same magic was used again in desperation to stop the Andals, though by then it was already too late because they were coming by boat and didn't need the land bridge. So by the time the sea crossing began in force, nothing could really stop them. And this is why the North resisted the Andals and ultimately kind of stalemated them enough where the Andals quit. The North had distance on their side. The North is massive, and marching armies across it took months. So supply lines would collapse. Southern knights, they were point blank not built for endless cold campaigns. Turns out, if you watch the show, read the books, you know that the North is cold. Moat Cailin, which seems to always come into play in any of these battles, it's the ancient fortress that basically guarded the only southern entrance into the North, and even the greatest Andal armies couldn't break it from the south. The North also had Stark unity, and not like, oh, happy-go-lucky, everybody loves the Starks. No, the Starks basically had a stranglehold on the North. Unlike the fractured southern kingdoms, the North was united under House Stark. The Andals couldn't divide it like they did with all the other kingdoms through politics or rival kings. Again, going to talk about the environmental warfare that they were fighting against. So not only were the Andals fighting the Starks, they were also fighting the cold, bogs, forests, and snow. It said that the North itself killed more invaders than the Stark swords ever could. Religion and identity, the North clung to the old gods more fiercely than any other region. The weirwood trees were everywhere. The Andals couldn't really fully erase the old faith without conquering everything, and they never did. So in the end, every major Andal invasion in the north collapsed or was destroyed. And what did those Andals leave behind? By the time of their, the conclusion of their invasion, they left behind the Faith of the Seven. And at that point, it basically ruled the South. They brought knighthood and castles, which from then on dominated warfare. They brought heraldry and feudal law that became the standard in Westeros, to the point where First Men culture only survived mainly in the north because that was the only place that wasn't conquered. Westeros was no longer the land of the Age of Heroes. It had become the world of kings, thrones, and conquest. The real reason for the Andal invasion was not just one reason. Like I said, it was three. Their land could no longer support them, their faith demanded them conquer, and their iron weapons made victory possible. I believe I made a short saying the exact same thing. They invaded because they could. They didn't just come to settle, they came to change the world, and they succeeded.